Assalamu Alaikum and welcome to blog number 3 on Rants of a Revert. Today's topic is, why me? So, my topic for today might be a little controversial. However, let me give you a disclaimer by saying that I am not racist, and everything that I say in my blogs, whether it be a video or a written post, is strictly my opinion and my personal experiences. I'm not speaking on the behalf of other Muslims or other reverts. I'm speaking on behalf of myself and things that I've experienced personally. With that being said, let me give you an example of a typical casual night out for me. So usually I stay in on the weekends, but a couple of times during the week I go up to a local shisha cafe or Mediterranean restaurant or what have you. And I will go there to study or to read or to hang out on my laptop for a few hours. And it seems to never fail that someone has something to say to me about how haram I'm being at the time. I realize that some people have their own versions of what is haram and halal and what Islam says is haram and halal. But the way that you express these things is very important. So let me tell you what happens to me on a normal night out. For example, around the time when I first became a Muslim, I was going out to these stupid lounges, like these Middle Eastern lounges, where they have music and dancing and alcohol and all this stuff. And I wasn't drinking, but I went there just to be with my friends. And one night I was there and I was really tired, so I leave this smoking area and I go out to the foyer area in the front, and I found a big couch and I kind of just laid on it. I was waiting for my friend to come out, and a group of Arab Muslim girls came out, and they were talking really bad about me in Arabic and calling me names and swearing at me. And I opened my eyes and they were taking pictures of me while I was laying on the couch. I guess they thought I was asleep or something. So I opened my eyes and I said, "What are you guys doing? If you have a problem, say it to me in English, There's no need to talk behind my back in another language." And they continued to curse at me and call me names and stuff. So I followed them outside, and all of them were drunk. There were 3 or 4 Arab girls who were not in hijab, and there was one girl with them that was in hijab. And all of them were cursing me out for no reason. All of them were highly intoxicated and very rude. And I said, "What's your problem? What have I done to you?" They're like, "Oh, you're a wannabe Arab, and you try to be like an Arab girl, and you never be an Arab girl, and you're fat, and this and that and that." And I didn't even know these girls. They had seen me there before, but I've never talked to them. I didn't know anyone who knew them. They kept cursing at me and, being drunk, and they were getting in the car to drive off and yelling at me through the window. And the police actually ended up coming and taking the hijabi, the one girl in hijab, they ended up arresting because she was underage and she was drinking. And the other women were not allowed to leave because they were also highly intoxicated and the cops wouldn't let them drive home. And so during all this time, all this commotion and all this stuff, there were tons of Muslim guys out there and people watching. And I had a couple Muslim guys come up to me and say, "Oh sister, you're haram, why are you fighting with these girls? That's haram. You shouldn't be here because there's music here and that's haram. And you shouldn't be here because there's shisha here and that's haram." And just trying to make me feel like a terrible bad Muslim. And being extraordinarily harsh on me. And the whole time, no one approached these drunk Muslim girls. Not even the hijabi girl getting arrested for being drunk. Underage drunk. And no one approached them to say, "Sisters, where's your hijab? Sisters, you shouldn't be drinking. That is haram." Instead, they come to me when I'm not even a part of all that and tell me I'm haram simply just for showing up. But there's a hijabi Muslim girl getting arrested for being drunk underage, and no one says a dang word to her or her friends. Okay? So that happened to me all the way up until present day. Just a few weeks ago, I was at a shisha cafe. There was no music there this time. There was no dancing and no alcohol, right? And it's a place that I love going to, and I go there to do my homework or to study. And I was sitting by myself, and this guy came up to me and said, smoking shisha is haram. I was like, well, why are you smoking it? He was like, oh, because it's not haram for men to smoke, it's haram for women to smoke. I said, what kind of backwards thinking do you have? You know, and a lot of times when I ask them this, because he's not the first person to say that to me, they either say because it's not haram for men, it's haram for women only, or they don't have an answer and they change the subject. So he's like, yeah, and it's like 1 a.m. and it's haram for you to be out this late and with all these guys in this place. And I was like, well, there's girls here, and I'm an adult. I can be out as late as I want. What really bugged me is that, again, there was two tables down from me. There was a Muslim girl, Arab girl, okay, with her legs hanging all over her boyfriend, not her husband, her boyfriend. Her legs hanging all over him. She's wearing hijab, but it's so low you can see her neck. You can see, you know, the front part of her whole hair, okay? She's wearing extremely tight and nearly see-through clothes, and no one said anything to her. He didn't go over there and say anything to her about how she was haram for, you know, having her legs all over her boyfriend and kissing her boyfriend in public, or not wearing hijab correctly, or, you know, this or that. He didn't go and say a word to her. And neither did anyone else in the place. In fact, the people that are regulars there, the Arab men and stuff, she's always flirting around and gallivanting around, you know, sitting with a different one every time. No one says a word. But I come and I'm there past an unholy hour, and I get belittled and I get pitched out and treated like I'm not a Muslim, or I'm not a good Muslim, or I'm not worthy to be a Muslim. And this happens to me very often. I would say every 1 out of 3 times that I go out. And it's not just at a shisha cafe. It's at Mediterranean restaurants, anywhere. You know, an outing. If there's any Arab guys around, or women even, you know, I'm always getting yelled at for stuff, but they always ignore the Muslim Arab women around me. Why? Is it because I'm white? Is it because I'm American? Is it because I wasn't born a Muslim? Is it because I'm a revert? Is it because I've only been following Islam for a little over a year? I don't know. I don't have the answers, but it really bugs me. You know, I don't deserve that. It's one thing to advise a brother or sister of something that they're doing that displeases Allah, but it's another thing, and to do that in quiet and private. But it's another thing to publicly scrutinize someone, or publicly embarrass someone and judge someone and pass judgments on someone in public. And not only them, but not to do it to the person next to them who's doing something as equally, if not greater than what the person you're yelling at is doing. It seems like, you know, these Arab Muslim girls in these places, they over here in this area, they get away with murder. They get away with whatever they want to do, and no one says a word. But as a revert, I'm watched so closely. I'm micromanaged. You know, I take one wrong step, and I have a whole hellstorm of, you know, judgment put on me. I'm not saying that it's an ethnicity issue. I'm not saying because they're Arab, you know, and an Arab man's not going to say something to an Arab girl. But doesn't it make sense that The only reason this is happening is maybe because of how the Arab culture works. That maybe if he says something to someone else's daughter, and her family knows his family, then they will fight. And so he's not saying anything to her to avoid conflict with families. But that doesn't give him any excuse to come up to the first American white revert he sees and just start belittling them and passing judgment on them just because he knows that his family's not going to know their family. I don't have the answers. I don't know. Maybe you'll know. Maybe you'll have some advice. But, and again, I'm not saying this happens to all reverts. I'm not saying that this happens to all Muslims or that all Muslims act this way or that all Arab Muslim girls are party animals. I'm not saying that. I'm just sharing with you my experiences. So with that, stay tuned for vlog number 4, coming soon inshallah. And that's all I have for today. Assalamu Alaikum.